So Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1 is the first part of a 4-part epic Western series of films, not only written and directed by Kevin Costner, but starring him and amongst a huge, and I mean a huge ensemble cast. When it comes down to the plot of Horizon, American Saga, Chapter 1, there is a lot going on. I mean, there's a lot of storylines going on, but if I were to condense it into the simplest gist of a pitch for you guys, this is the best way I can describe this movie with one simple pitch. This is the film that tells essentially a 15-year story in pre and post-Civil War as we see an exploration and a settlement of all these characters in the American West. What I just said there was the plot synopsis from IMDb. I may have paraphrased a little bit, but nonetheless, there is a lot happening in this first part. Before I continue on with today's video, I just wanted to say welcome to my channel, everybody. For those of you who are coming by my channel for the very first time, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a future video, whether it's a future review, a future reaction, or whatever I have coming your way, and join me on my journey to 10K subscribers and beyond, because believe me when I say this, guys, you are not going to miss the cool shit I have coming your way. And for those of you who are coming back to my channel, welcome back. You have no idea how happy I am to see your faces once again. Alrighty guys, so let's get into Horizon, an American Saga, Chapter 1.
Excellent!
Before I continue with my review of this movie, I wanted to give you guys an apology that this review is a smidge late, like what, 2-3 weeks late. This was a movie that I didn't really have a lot of interest in. I mean, I'm a big Western fan and I do like Kevin Costner, but admittedly, guys, I have never seen a film that he has directed. Like, I have not seen Dances with Wolves, I have not seen Open Range, despite hearing nothing but the greatest things about those two films in particular. I originally had really no plans on seeing this movie, really. It wasn't until my dad said he wanted to see this and I said to him, hey, you want to see this with me in the theater by chance? And he said, yeah, sure. Sitting down, I went into the mindset of, okay, just be ready for what could possibly be a slow-moving 3-hour Western. I was getting ready for just a film that was just going to be a build-up and a setup film, so I was just sitting down, just mentally prepping myself. I am very happy to say that not only I really dug this movie, but I also found this movie very underrated. When it comes down to the cast of characters in this movie, there is, like I mentioned to you guys earlier, a absolutely insane ensemble cast. This movie, I mean, the stacked cast is absolutely incredible. So I'm not gonna have the time to go through every actor, because if I did, we'd probably be here for at least a good 10 minutes going through every single actor in the performances. So all I'm gonna do is say that, hey, these actors did great jobs, but I will name all of them and just say, hey, all of them did very, very good in this movie. But just to name a couple of the actors in this movie: Kevin Costner, Sienna Miller, Sam Worthington, Giovanni Ribisi, Michael Rooker, Danny Houston, Jenna Malone, Abby Lee, Jamie Campbell Bower, Ella Hunt, Luke Wilson, Isabel Furman. I mean, guys, I would love to go over every single actor, but if I did, I'd be here talking and gushing over them for eons. So just what you guys know, all the actors that I mentioned just there, and the other ones who I didn't mention, I do sincerely apologize. Everybody in this movie did a very good job. If not, they did a great job in this movie. Going on to something else that I really enjoyed about this movie, and that was Kevin Costner's directing. Prior to this movie, I had not seen a Kevin Costner directed movie. Like, I had not seen Dances with Wolves or Open Range, but I'm telling you guys right now, after seeing this movie, it gives me the incentive to go to these movies, because here's the thing, guys. Within the first 10 minutes of this movie, I immediately thought, damn, Kevin Costner can direct. Wow. There are so many sequences throughout this movie where not only how Kevin Costner places the camera, moves the cameras, directs the actors, also how he stages sequences, and not only that, but how he stages the action going on. For a 3-hour film, Kevin Costner really does such a great job from really the first minute of this movie, keeping you in and locking you in, I would say, for a good 90% of the time. Because are there issues with this movie? Yes, but I'll get to those guys later. Before I went into this movie, I was going in with the mindset of, okay, Part 1 is going to probably be a big setup film for 3 hours, just setting up all these characters, all these storylines. It's going to be a constant build-up movie. And sure, while Part 1 does do that absolutely, it never felt like just a build-up or a setup movie. And sure, guys, while this movie definitely does set up a lot of characters and a lot of storylines, at the same time, I never feel like a constant building up of plots, character arcs, and tension. None of this movie really felt boring, as man, I gotta tell you, I was locked in for the most part. And I gotta tell you guys, despite this movie having a lot of moving parts, it has a lot of cogs, a lot of threads going on at the same time, this movie never felt like it was jumbled. It never felt like it was a mess. It never felt like it was incoherent. This is a movie in which not only does this movie take its time with its characters, letting everything breathe out at such a great natural pace, but at the same time, it never felt boring, at least for the most part, I should say. There are at least, I want to say 3 specific storylines out of the many that I cannot wait to see how they do continue on the next 3 parts. This movie is a 4-part saga. It is a 4-part, if I'm not mistaken, around a 12-hour all-together film series. And I gotta tell you guys, what I saw on Wednesday night, I am very excited to see how Kevin Costner lets these storylines breathe out within parts 2, 3, and 4. This movie is a raw and a brutal film. Kevin Costner really does get into the nitty-gritty of the pre- and post-Civil War of this movie. While there isn't a lot of action in this movie, when it does happen, oh my god, it is really investing, and you're constantly on the edge of your seat when I see that what's happening. No joke, guys. One of my favorite sequences in this movie is a sequence, which, don't worry, no spoilers, guys. It's between Kevin Costner and Jamie Campbell Bower, and this whole sequence and the tension just building and building up is very, very well done. And by the end of the sequence, holy crap, it was absolutely incredible. Throughout the 3-hour runtime of this movie, I felt like I was watching an old school Western film. And it's the kind of film that I really feel like that we just do not get anymore. And by the way, the fact that Kevin Costner spent a good chunk of his own money making this movie, I have to give him a lot of praise, because not a lot of filmmakers out there would make something not only as big and as epic, but as ambitious as this movie. The cinematography of this movie is absolutely stunning. And also, fun fact, the same guy who shot this movie shot Terminator 2. Yeah, Horizon Chapter 1 cinematography is beautiful, it's glorious, striking, popping with so many colors, and there were so many shots in this movie, in particular the wide master shots that literally my dad and I a couple of times really went, wow. I do apologize if I butcher this guy's name, but John Debney's musical score is epic. I loved his score so much in this movie.
Well, that's just fucking great!
Like I mentioned to you earlier, while I really enjoyed this movie, I do have my fair share of issues with this movie. The majority of the storylines I was really into. Like, I was very much into the majority of the storylines that Kevin Costner was setting up for us. But I want to say that there is about maybe 1, or I would say 2 storylines at the max that, sure, while I absolutely get their significance, the overall storyline, while I get their significance in the story, especially due to what's going on in the time period, at the same time, I thought didn't really add much to the film. I am curious to see how these 2 storylines breathe out in the next 3 parts. I couldn't but feel that these 2 storylines were the dragging parts of the film. And speaking of which, guys, this movie is 3 hours long. Well, 3 hours with credits. Will you feel that like that times? You just might. The pacing here and there was a little sluggish. There were times where I was like, okay, this could definitely be trimmed down just a little bit to benefit from maybe a tad bit short of a runtime. Had this movie had ended at a certain point, it would have been brilliant, and man, I would have been insanely hyped to see part 2. And don't get me wrong to you guys, I'm definitely looking forward to the next 3 parts, but the movie does something, and I get what the movie's trying to do. It's trying to hype you up for the next 3 parts, but genuinely, this didn't need to be in the movie. Was this absolutely needed? I didn't really think it was needed.
And here we go.
So overall, Horizon: An American Saga Chapter 1 is a thoroughly entertaining and a well-made film. Despite this film being a part 1, it didn't feel like just a setup or a build-up movie. For the most part, I found myself thoroughly invested in this epic story, and the best part is, would I like to see more? Absolutely. All in all, I'm gonna give Horizon: An American Saga Chapter 1 a 3.75 out of 5. I know this movie has been in theaters for quite some time, but I implore you guys, please go check it out. If you're a Western fan or if you're a Kevin Costner fan, please go see it, because I would love to see the rest of the story being told, because it is genuinely not only a good movie, but it's also underrated. I hope you enjoyed my review of Horizon: An American Saga Chapter 1. If so, please hit the like button, or if you dislike the review, hit the dislike button. If you guys want to see my previous 2 reviews, please click it right there or right there. And of course, until my next review or video goes live, I'll see you all next time.